Hello and welcome guys, and today we are doing some Python. Okay, so we will learn about reduce, map and filter functions in this series. And okay, let me just start. So I found this image in the web and this is very easy, and if you're a beginner this will explain to you how it works. Alright, so let's see this map first. So we have an array here, and in this array we have a cow or a buffalo, and this is apparently a potato, and this is a hen, and this is corn. What do you guys call it? It's corn. And then you pass this array to this cook function. Here you can see we have a map here, and the first parameter is a list, and the second parameter is this function. So the output is, when we cook this, what do we get? We get a burger. When we cook this, we get French fries. When we cook this, we get a chicken leg. And when we cook this, we get the popcorns. So what we are doing here is we are applying each element of this array to this function, and then once all of the elements of this list are applied to this function, we are returning the output as a list. So this is precisely what a map function does. It takes an iterable, that is list in this case, and then it takes a function, and then it applies each value of that item to that function, and then returns all the returns as a list. Alright, so that is the map function. Now similarly we have filter function. Now if we have all these food items that we cooked, right, we have a burger, french fries, chicken leg and popcorn, and we just want to select the veg items, the vegetarian items. So this is where the filter comes in, filter function. All right, in filter function we have a list of a list of items, and then a function that serves as a filter. And inside of this filter, inside of this function, it takes a value and then it returns true or false. So first it'll take a burger, since this is a chicken burger or a hamburger. It'll take that and it will return false, as that is not a vegetarian item, so that item is excluded. And then we take french fries. When we pass french fries to our is vegetarian function, and since french fries is vegetarian, it returns true. So as you can see, we have a french fry in our return list. And then we pass a chicken item, and since that is not vegetarian, our vegetarian function will return false. So as you can see, it's not present here. And finally we have our popcorn. And when you pass popcorn to is vegetarian function, we know it's vegetarian, so is vegetarian returns true, and we have our popcorn here. So finally a list of all the vegetarian items is returned. Now finally we are here at the reduce function. So as you can see here, each function is passed and this list is passed here. So what reduce does is, not unlike the map and the filter functions, reduce function actually works on all the elements of the list. So first it works on burger and french fries, and then we get some result. Let's call that, I'm not getting a good word for it because I can see this shit here. So first it takes two elements of the arrays of the list, and then the result is, let's say, something semi-digested food. Then it takes that semi-digested food and this chicken, and then it's a little more digested, and then it takes all that digested food and the popcorn, and finally it all is reduced to this. So now I hope this map, filter and reduce are pretty clear to you, and now we will get started with the reduce function. Alright, so this is pretty important guys, so don't skip. I'll just go over this quickly and we'll just then jump into code. So the reduce function is available in this functools module. Now reduce, as you can see here, all the functions, I mean all the elements are applied to the function. So all the elements are applied to the function, in the beginning, two elements from the list are chosen at first, and after the function is applied to the two elements, then the result of those two elements is applied to the next item in the list. It goes on until all the items are finished in the list, and finally the final value is returned. As you can see here, the final value is shit. That shit is returned. All right, now let's go and see. Okay, so first of all, we'll import the func tools because our reduce is in the func tools. And then let's say, okay, let's take that example, and let's say I'll do def digest. So initially it takes two items. Let's call them food A, food B, and it will return, our function returns food A plus food B. Now we'll have a list of food items. I'll just call it list. Now since we are it's just a demonstration and I'm just adding it here, so I'll have int on my list. So I'll go 1 2 whatever. I'll just add some, I'll have some random ints here. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll say digested stuff equals to our func tools dot reduce function, and in here first we pass the list and the second parameter is our function. All right, and then we'll print after digestion the sum is it probably doesn't make any sense to you, but I hope you understand how it actually works, and we pass the digested stuff here. So let's run this thing. Okay, I have invalid syntax here. Okay, this is not s, it's just 1. And once we run this again, reduce argument 2 must support iteration. So what did I do wrong here? Argument 2 must support iteration, so you need to pass the list second, I guess. Alright, so this is it. So I was confused by the image before because we had the list first in that image and the function second. But anyway, first we pass the function and then we pass the list. So as you can see here, we get the response after digestion the sum is 828. So what's happening here is, first it is taking the two parameters, right? It is taking our digest function is taking 1 comma 2, and our reduce function always takes the first two parameters. Okay, and then it applies these two to our digest function. So when we have 1 and 2 as the parameter in our digest function, what is returned? As you can see here, food A and food B, the sum of food B and food B, and sum of 1 and 2 is 3. All right, and in the second step, the return of the first iteration is given, that is 3, that is taken, and our next parameter, that is 3. Okay, I didn't intend to do this, but I guess we are lucky. So in the next iteration, 3 and 3 are passed. It becomes 6 because 3 plus 3 is 6. And in the next iteration, the result of the first iteration, previous iteration, 6, comma, what is the third element? Okay, this is, yeah, a fourth element actually, it's 5. And we get 11. Similarly, we keep on doing this for all the elements in the list. And finally, we have the sum that is 828. Alright, so I hope you understand it. And now, this is commonly used in what? It is used in finding min/max. So you can code with me, you'll learn better, or you can just watch the tutorial and then try it later. So first what we'll do is we have a list, and from this list we'll need to find the min or max items, min and max. All right, So let's say min is, okay, so I'll just have another random array here. Okay, and we need to find the min from this array. All right, so what can we do? As you already know, the reduce function will iterate through all these items, and it has the saved value of these two things, and these two's saved value will be compared with this or added with this according to our use case. So I'll just say min equals to functools. I like the name functools, it's funky. All right, and first parameter is our function. Now I was about to do a lambda here, but you might not be familiar with that, so we'll move into it after we finish this. So we'll create a def get min a comma b. If a is less than b, return a, else return b. Okay, it's pretty simple. So first we pass our function here, and then we pass our min array. All right, and then we just print it. Minimum is min. Let's run this, and as we can see, the minimum is 2. And if we do a visual inspection here, like Sherlock Holmes, we will find the minimum is 2. All right, so what happened here? If you did not understand, let me just add some comment. As we know, the reduce function first uses the first two elements of the list. So these two are used. So we have 143 here and 655 here. And what does our function return? What does the min array return? If a is less than b, it returns a, else it returns b. Is a less than b? Yes. So it returns 143. All right. And in the second iteration, it takes the output of the first iteration and the third element, that is 34. So 34. You apply this to our getMin function, a comma b, 143 comma 34. What will be returned, a or b? Since a is less than b, since a is not less than b here, a is 143, so b will be returned. What is b? B is 34. 34, and similarly we'll have a 34 comma 2, and here we can see 2 is smaller, so our getMin will return 2, and so on for the rest of the parameters, so for the rest of the items in the list, and we have our 2 in the end. All right, so this is how reduce works. Now, if you have any questions, let me know, and let's go over how our all right, one more thing I forgot about this. We also have an initializer in, so let me just write using initializer. So as we can see here, the first two elements were taken from this thing, all right, from our list. Now what can we do is we can add an initializer in our reduce function. So how do we do that? To do that, what we can do is, let's say a kind of a similar use case. Let's say you think the minimum value is 1. All right, the minimum value is 1 unless a list has 0. So what we can do here is, let me just copy paste this, right? So instead of just getting the minimum from the list, our problem statement has changed. Our problem statement says get minimum from the list if it's less than 1, else return 1. Now our actual minimum is 1, and if we have something that is less than 1 in our list, we'll return that, else we'll just return 1. Okay, so what do? We have our getMin function here, we have our min array here, and we also have an initializer. all the previous examples we did right up to now, we use these two in the beginning. Now what we can do is we can use an initializer 1. So it's like a base case in this scenario. Now if we run this, you'll see the minimum is 1. So what happens here is, instead of the first two element, that is 143 and 655 of this array, we are using 1 comma 143. So that will definitely return 1 as the minimum. So if you pass an initializer here, that is used in the beginning instead of these two. All right, so that's how you can use an initializer with our reduce function. Now where do we use this very commonly? So I've commonly used these in where have I used this? Okay, I've used this in getting min max in an array, in a huge array. Performance is very good, and it's also useful for finding any true or false values in an array. So we can just say, is any one of this, is any element false, or is any element true, or are all true, are all false, because we are comparing them with the previous value that we got from our previous iteration. So these two are very common. All right, so this was reduce. Now in the next part, we'll see map and filter. Peace out. And if this helped you, like it, subscribe.